Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, as you can see, we're standing in front of some logs that have been cut into firewood rounds. And what this is actually a tree that was logged probably 20 to 30 years ago. And the reason I've actually come to the conclusion of this is the fact that this tree, you could see where it had come off the stump, and then the middle section of it was cut. And then this is actually just the treetop, and right where it would split off into some other branches. This was a very large red oak tree, but from what I can tell, it has been laying there all this time. And I thought, man, those are some very large logs to just be laying there and not get any use out of them and just go to waste and just rotting on the ground. But these weren't laying directly on the ground. They actually were kind of suspended up off the ground between like some other branches and stuff from those trees. But you could clearly see that, you know, it was along the logging trail. You could see the stump where it had been cut. You could see a big open section and then a treetop. So I'd been wondering about whether this would be any good for firewood or not because of it laying there for so long. And this is not the only one. This is actually just the first one that I wanted to check out and test and see if it would be good firewood. And if it was still solid in the middle, is it seasoned after all this time? If you've been watching the channel, I don't know, it's probably about a year ago or so, I actually did a video about is your firewood really seasoned, and I actually had a big red oak tree that had been cut and had been laying for a year, or actually it was a storm damaged tree, and it had been laying down for over a year. And when I cut into it and started splitting it up for firewood, it was still just as wet as ever. I mean, way up 30–40% moisture. If you haven't seen that, I'll put a link up here for you to go check that out. It's actually kind of interesting because a lot of people sell firewood in logs and say, oh, we got seasoned firewood, and then they'll split it up as they sell it and say that it's seasoned because the log's been laying there for a year when it's not dry at all once you actually split it up. You know, how long does it actually take for it to season? Or does it rot before it actually gets seasoned? So that's kind of a question that I've been wanting to answer myself because, you know, this stuff here actually, when I cut it with the chainsaw, actually seemed to be pretty solid in the middle, but the outside of this is completely rotted away. In some places, it's got all kinds of bug damage, ants and all that kind of stuff, and I know that in the middle of those, it's going to be just eat up too much. It's going to be rotted out. But in pieces like this, where there's not holes and stuff bored through it from the insects, it actually seems to be pretty solid in the middle. So where this property was logged years and years ago, there's actually quite a bit of this kind of stuff laying around, and I just kind of wondering whether it'd be worth my time to go out there and get those and bring them back and saw them up, and whether the firewood is going to be nice seasoned firewood, or whether it's going to be just junk wood and just real punky and soft in the middle and that kind of stuff. So that's what I'm here to find out today. I've got my moisture meter. I'm sure this is actually not going to have much moisture in it at all. Although after I have cut this, it has weather checked like crazy, but it has done it in just a matter of a week or so. So I don't know if, you know, it maybe just had some residual moisture or whatever, but I know it wasn't weather checked right whenever I cut it. And it has done this since I cut it. So I'm interested in seeing what the inside of this thing actually looks like and what the moisture content actually is. So before I split it though, I'm gonna go ahead and check it with the moisture meter just to kind of get an idea. Usually whenever you check this, you're supposed to do this with the grain, not on the end grain. That doesn't give you a precise reading. You're supposed to actually do it with the grain. But just for reference sake, I'm gonna try it here and just see what it says. It actually says 15.4%. I'm kind of surprised. I actually thought it would be lower than that. It might have to do with the outside humidity right now. It's very high humidity right now, but I was really kind of thinking that would be lower than that. So let's go ahead. I'm gonna get a piece up here on the splitter. I'm gonna split this thing up. I'm actually hoping that if this is good enough, some of these nicer straight pieces without knots and stuff, that I can actually go ahead and sell some of this because I've got somebody wanting some seasoned firewood and I don't have a whole lot of it. So if this works out to where it's good and solid and it's still dry, then I may go ahead and try to sell that. But let's put a piece on the splitter and let's see what we get. think I'm gonna get my answer pretty quickly out of this. If you see that coming off the splitter, it was just breaking and busting everywhere. It's actually pretty brittle and it doesn't really hold together all that well. For me personally, you know, I can burn this stuff. I really don't need it to look good or be perfect, and I've burned a lot of wood like this, and it actually does pretty well in our wood boiler. So I really don't have any problems burning it, but to sell it to somebody, I definitely would not want to do that. So what is the moisture content in a piece of wood like this? This thing has been laying for years and years and years. 42.6% still in this tree. I can't even hardly believe that because it seems dry and brittle. But you know, like whenever I checked on the outside, it was dry. It was down to about 15%. But once you split this open, it is still a high moisture content in the middle. Now the thing is, it will probably dry out really fast. So once it's split, you know, that moisture will probably go away very quickly. It won't be like trying to dry a green tree. But I'm actually surprised that it's that high. I thought that I'd be able to split this and it'd be in the low 20s or maybe even lower than that, especially with it laying for so long. So I'll try a couple different pieces just to make sure I'm getting, you know, an accurate reading between all the pieces. Yeah, I mean, I actually just turned it around and tried the other side of it. It's a 43.9%. So let's try some of the other pieces here in the middle and around the edges. This one right here is actually an edge piece. You can see where the bark is rotted off of it and everything. So let's see on this side. $41.5. This actually is kind of amazing to me. I wasn't expecting this at all. I would have thought, like I say, that this would be a very, very low moisture content because of the shape of all these logs and how old they are. But now this was laying in the log form up until about 2 weeks ago whenever I sawed it up into the firewood rounds. This is a piece from the middle of that log. Yeah, still 37.7%. And another thing too, these pieces actually feel pretty light. I mean, it's not a real heavy chunk of wood. It feels like that it would be seasoned even by the weight. 41.3. I'm shocked. Now, this piece is actually at 31.5. And it's kind of on it's an outside edge piece, but it's got a lot of rot. And like this stuff, it just breaks away. You know, it's not real solid. So that piece even is still at over 30%. This piece right here is actually the most solid looking piece out of this entire round. And it actually has good grain in it. There's not a lot of bugs in this one, and it is actually pretty heavy. So let's see if it's any different than the others. $38.7. That right there was actually the most solid piece out of this round that we split up, and it's still at 38.7%. So even the ones that are all kind of rotted and falling apart, the moisture content in those is actually just as high as what the piece is that actually feels like a good solid piece of wood. I'm actually kind of beside myself a little bit. I was expecting much different results from this. I thought I'd come out here and split these up and it'd be like, you know, 15% and man, this is ready to burn firewood. I had no idea that it would be over 40% moisture content. I can't hardly believe that. Like I say, I know that these have been laying there for 20 or 30 years. So I thought that it would be kind of cool to go through and pick these up and utilize this for firewood but it looks like they're really just too far gone to make good firewood, at least to sell. To use it for myself, yeah, I may still do that, but you kind of got to weigh up the differences. If you cut this stuff up, it's got a lot of dirt and stuff on it and a lot of rot, and that really dulls your chainsaw chain. Like I say, I was really expecting much different result. So anyways, that's going to wrap it up for this video. I went way longer than I thought I would with this. It looks like I'm going to split this stuff up and leave it in an IBC tote and use it for myself for my wood boiler. There's no way I would sell this to somebody because of all the bugs and ants and all that kind of stuff that were in here. So that idea is out the window. But like I say, it's not going to go to waste. I'm still going to split this stuff up and use it for myself. So if you found today's video helpful or interesting, make sure to hit that thumbs up button. Also, subscribe to the channel and follow along with us for all the projects and stuff we have going on around the property. And when you do, make sure to hit that little bell icon so you'll get notifications whenever we upload new videos. And thanks for watching.